fight. Noble hearts and steadfast pride. Detroit spirit, we wear it white. Feel the drive, hear the crowds embrace. Rock on, Detroit Lions will rise. With a heart full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our own. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown. In the city, where the roar meets the night, the Lions charge, ready for the fight. Noble hearts and steadfast pride. Detroit spirit, we wear it white. Feel the drive, hear the crowds embrace. Rocked on, Detroit Lions will rise. Rocked on, Detroit Lions will rise. With a heart full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our own. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown. With every game, we rise and unite. Feeling the passion ignite.
All right, we back. Here we go.
We'll stand as one. A legacy, a tale that's just begun. Together we roar. Together we roar. Rocked on, Detroit Lions will rise.
1 2
Full of dreams.
1 2 1 2 Mic check. Hey, can y'all hear me out there? Against all odds. 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 Against all odds.
The podcast.
Shout out to Rock on Detroit Lions, man.
There
My
you go.
pride.
Well, we lost about 100 viewers. Oh well, they hopped onto the next train heading south. Not sure what happened there, but we'll try to finish this up here. So you were talking about Shedeur Sanders making the Pro Bowl, and I didn't really hear what you said about Jared Goff, but I wanted to discuss Shedeur Sanders for a moment. His completion percentage is 56%, right? Oh, you're muted. My bad. Hold on. Sorry. There you go.
Yeah, his completion percentage was 56.
56%. And wasn't the narrative throughout the season that Shedeur Sanders was not going to be a good quarterback, doesn't belong, to be a starter. The Lions should run away from him. Every other team should run away from him. And then he gets scolded and taken extremely late in the draft. I think it was like the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
And then it finally took until like 24 hours before his first start. They've lost both of their quarterbacks. And for whatever reason, it was Stefanski, right? That wouldn't name him the damn starter. It was the most weird, awkward rookie season I've ever witnessed. And then he gets in, he plays pretty well, given the situation. It's not a good team. It's not coached well. But 56% completion percentage. And I think a lot of people would say that that's not good. Rightfully so, the guy didn't get a ton of reps. He didn't get any reps, honestly.
Yeah.
But who else had a pretty close percentage to that?
Oh, Mr. Caleb Williams.
Oh, Caleb Williams.
Yeah, he was what, 58?
58%, the other bottom feeder. So, look, if you're going to say that Caleb Williams, not you, but if people are going to say that Caleb Williams is the second coming to Jesus, I think you got to say the same thing about Shedeur Sanders, because their completion percentages are pretty damn close. And when you look at the playmaking ability, there is very few quarterbacks, that can make the throws that Shedeur Sanders put on display this year. Very few. Caleb Williams also made some dynamite throws this year. Has a hell of an arm. I just think he loses it from the neck up. As where I think Shedeur Sanders is pretty even keel from the neck up. And I think he's displayed that for lack of I guess better terminology. I think that Shedeur Sanders has done nothing but stay pretty consistent.
Here's a question for you, Will.
Okay.
So in 10 years or whatever, who ends up having the better career Shedeur Sanders or Caleb Williams?
I think the real question should be, are either of them going to last more than 5 years?
Yeah.
Well, I think Caleb will, because he was a first round draft pick, so he's got at least 4 seasons. If Shedeur gets on the right team, or if the Browns somehow magically turn it around.
Well, they don't even have a head coach right now.
Yeah, I know. But
part of the reason they don't have a head coach is that their head coach, for some reason, refused to train Shedeur Sanders, refused to put him in when there was no one else, and refused to help the guy along.
Yeah, I like I said, it was one of the weirdest things I've ever witnessed as a fan. Watching this guy for the last couple of years go to schools that had no football program really at all, and they completely revolutionize it, turn it around, and he's a dynamite football player, man. You can't say that Shedeur Sanders can't make plays, and he does. And I think he has a really good lineage and bloodline. Yeah, they may be a little bit out of the box or out of the pocket, with some of the things they do and say, and yeah, there's a lot of social media presence and whatever. Unfortunately, it's today's generation. But when Shedeur Sanders is on the field, the dude can play football.
Yeah.
To answer your question, if they both lasted 10 years,
yeah,
I'm giving it to Shedeur. And I know that's a crazy take because we haven't seen anything yet out of Shedeur that is really enough. But how many games did Shedeur play to what Caleb Williams did? I don't even know.
Probably like 7 or 8.
Yeah, it has to be.
And how the heck did he get into the Pro Bowl and Caleb Williams didn't?
It's fan voting, I guess, right?
Oh my God. And that just tells you, so look back. You had Johnny Manziel, the social media king of the world there. And then you had Baker Mayfield that came in, and now you got Shedeur Sanders. Why do the Browns constantly get these quarterbacks that are all about the social media aspect of it, all about the
pomp and circumstance,
fame of it all, instead of just being quarterbacks?
I don't know, but I guess the bigger question is why didn't Kevin Stefanski just groom the guy?
I don't
just let him get prepared. Like you failed as a coach to get this dude ready.
Well, he didn't think that Joe Flacco was going to get hurt, or he didn't think Gabriel was going to get hurt. He didn't think the 4 other guys ahead of him were going to all get hurt or traded away or whatever.
Dude, you had a 92-year-old quarterback. Like he's not going to get hurt. By the way, this is not breaking news, but Phillip Rivers, completing his season this year, was in the running for the head coach position. He interviewed
for the Bills,
and now he's rescinded his offer to be the head coach. That's totally wrong how I just said that. He withdrew.
He took his name out of the running.
Took his name out.
I think it's because he found out that he'd have to be away from his family a little too much. He
knows job. That. I think he probably realized that he loves football, but maybe the Bills. Maybe the Bills are dysfunctional right now.
They don't have a head coach.
Maybe they should not have fired McDermott.
No, did you see that there's a list that fans are signing in protest? There's I can't remember, 70 or 80,000 people have signed it so far
for
trying to get McDermott to come back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, Google it. It's pretty funny, actually.
I didn't see that. Yeah, they look. That's a royal. That's why I brought this up the other day. Was that Friday? We were talking about maybe a cool down period. That I get it. Everyone has the right to hire and fire in just about every state in America, but maybe after you lose a major game, you take a beat, right? 72-hour cool down period. You think things through, and then you fire somebody, because you can still bring guys in to interview or whatever you want to do without firing someone.
Yep.
You know,
Get this, Will. This is from Newsweek. Bills fans rally behind Sean McDermott with a 75,000 signature petition after the firing of Sean McDermott.
Say that again. Say that one more time.
So Bills fans have rallied behind head coach Sean McDermott, and they've collected 75,000 signatures on a petition to get him back as the head coach of the Bills.
Wow. 75K? I'd sign it.
Yeah.
I think that was a big mistake. All right, let me give you the latest list here, the latest news and rumors, latest hires, if you will, going around the league. So we'll start with Washington. Offensive coordinators, David Blau. Defensive coordinators, Durante Jones. The Commanders promoted offensive assistant quarterbacks coach Blau to offensive coordinator after he had an interview with the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions are interested in hiring him. And the Washington Commanders decided, you know what? We don't want to lose the guy. We're going to put him in place at OC. Ian Rappaport reported back on January 9th that the Commanders were also hiring Vikings DB coach Jones as their new defensive coordinator. That was reported on January 26th. Detroit Lions, we hired Drew Petzing. Excuse me. We hired Drew Petzing on January 26th. And then we turned around and hired Mike McCaffa on the 26th as well. Now, I know that sounds weird because a week ago we knew that Drew Petzing was coming to Detroit. It was not official until yesterday. Los Angeles Chargers, they have offensive coordinator now under contract, Mike McDaniel, even though he has left the door open. That was also reported on January 20th, and the hire became official and announced on the 26th. New York Giants, their head coach is now John Harbaugh. Assistant head coach and special teams coordinator is now Chris Horton, and defensive coordinator is now Denard Wilson. The New York Giants officially hired Harbaugh, the former Ravens head coach, to be their next head coach on January 17. Horton, the former Ravens special teams coordinator, is being hired as the Giants special teams coordinator and the assistant head coach. Hold on, let me get my screens back to moving where they should be. Where was I? And Tom Pelissero reported that on January 25th. Harbaugh's staff will also include former Tennessee Titans defensive coordinator Denard Wilson. Hey, Wilson, who's being hired as New York's DC. Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator is now Jonathan Gannon. The Packers are hiring the former Cardinals head coach Gannon as their next DC. Pittsburgh Steelers, they hired Mike McCarthy. That's an interesting one to me, man.
That's funny.
Where was he last year?
Nowhere.
This last year.
Yeah, nowhere.
I thought he was an assistant somewhere.
No, he took a year off.
Did he?
Yep.
Oh, that's right. He was doing media.
Yep.
How do you think that's going to go?
I don't. I don't think it's going to be any better. So you're taking one coach that is just a constant winner, but can never get to do the same. Because when he was with the Cowboys, they fired him because he was 12-5 every single season. He'd win the division or make the playoffs every year, but he could never win the playoff games. You know, that's why McCarthy is gone. So you're taking one coach that does the exact same thing and replacing him with another one that does the exact same thing.
Man, I think that teams would be lucky to have a coach that could get you there, because at some point getting there is just half the battle. The other half of the battle is staying relevant when you get there. But just having an opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl, I don't know that I would walk away from a coach. Now, okay, 20 years of doing it, 19 seasons, whatever it was for Tomlin. Yeah, at that point, it's probably we need something different. And I think that Tomlin just became a little bit stale. probably a good move that he's retired or walking away from football. But yeah, Mike McCarthy, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's a safe pick, I think.
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins, interesting moves here. Head coach is now Jeff Hafley, former Packers defensive coordinator. And this was announced on the 19th that the Dolphins also hired Sullivan as their new GM. The team announced that on January 9th that Chris Tabor is expected to be Miami's new special teams coordinator. That was announced on January 23rd. Dolphins are also expected to hire Bobby Slowick as their next OC. That is a hire. Bobby Slowick. That's a good hire. Baltimore Ravens, as we know, head coach Jesse Minter. That was announced on January 22nd.
And Minter came from the Chargers, correct?
Minter came from Michigan, and then where did he go from there?
I think he went to the Chargers.
I think he did. I think he was with Harbaugh. I'm almost positive that's the flow. But a funny thing here. Yeah, he went from Michigan to the Chargers. I didn't know this, and I guess Baltimore was an expansion team, right? Weren't they an expansion team at one point? Or were they not?
Oh, they were the Browns.
Yeah, I'm not even going to.
The Browns became an expansion team.
I'm not going to be able to remember all that. But this is the franchise's fourth head coach. Fourth.
Mm-hmm.
4. Eric, we've had 4 in Detroit in like 12 years.
Yeah.
This is their 4th head coach. That is crazy to me. Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator Christian Parker. Hey, maybe someday that'll be Christian Rock instead of Christian Parker. No, don't coach the Cowboys, Chris. Dallas is hiring Parker as their next defensive coordinator. NFL Network insiders Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero reported that back on January 22nd. Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator is now Zach Robinson. That was the guy that Eric wanted in Detroit. Special teams coordinator Danny Smith. Bucks announced those hires on January 22, and the special teams coordinator on January 20. Hold on here. Why am I seeing this backwards? This doesn't make sense to me. Let me read this one more time. The Buccaneers are set to hire Robinson as their next offensive coordinator, reported on January 22. Tampa Bay is hiring Smith to be its special teams coordinator on January 20th. How did you hire the special teams coordinator before the head coach?
Well, Tampa Bay didn't get a new head coach, just a new OC and special teams coordinator.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. See, I told you I was reading it wrong. See? I got this bright light in my eye, so I'm going to blame it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Kansas City, they're bringing back Eric Bieniemy to be their OC. That's a great move.
Stole him from the Bears.
Yep. Good work there. So, Manangai.
So all of our rivals, the Bears, the Vikings, and the Packers are all losing either coordinators or assistant coaches this offseason.
You know what? That's a great topic, dude. The great reset of the NFC North. Let me write that down.
Because it's not just us this year.
Well, and we're going to lose and gain a couple.
And we still might lose Scotty Montgomery, which would be huge, but Kafka steps right into that role, I'm sure. And I'm sure that's why they have not announced what he's going to be, just that he's going to be a senior offensive assistant or a high-ranking offensive assistant.
Yeah, they can't call him the assistant head coach until Montgomery's in fact gone.
Yeah,
because they're not going to fire the guy.
Yeah.
You want Montgomery back. We're talking Scotty Montgomery, not David.
Yeah. I want both the Montgomerys back.
Yeah, I get it, but I just
But
wanted
every
to,
year there's change, and you have to adapt, and that's the whole landscape of the NFL. Not for long. That goes for coaches. That goes for players. That goes for GMs. That goes for all of it. It's constantly changing.
answer your question real quick, Elaine. Yes, Kelvin Shepard is staying in Detroit.
Yeah,
And that was kind of picked up as I was reading between the tea leaves about a week ago, where St. Brown, I believe St. Brown said that was the that was like the final piece of bringing in Drew Petzing because, well, just the way he said it, you kind of got the idea that Kelvin Shepard wasn't going to be going anywhere. And then I think it was announced right after that the Dolphins were hiring Jeff Halfley. Where was I? Got a couple more
Chiefs.
left.
The enemy.
Chiefs. How about those Chiefs? How did I get to the Chiefs? I must have skipped over a bunch of people. Cardinals hired Gannon. My goodness. Here we go. Falcons. Head coach Kevin Stefanski. President of football operations Matt Ryan. I think that is a fantastic position for him. Offensive coordinator Tommy Reese. Special teams coordinator Greg Ackerman. Titans added Robert Salah on the 19th of January. I think that's going to be a good team for him to put his magic on. I think that he's learned a lot over the last couple of seasons, kind of taking a backseat approach, bouncing around a little bit, kind of in a special envoy position, it seems like at times. That's really it with the latest firings of Coach McDermott, offensive coordinator Greg Roman in L.A. Bucks fired Josh Grizzard and Thomas McGaughey. Mike McDaniel, obviously. We know the rest. John Morton.
Well, there's one that you didn't mention.
Uh-oh, we got another update?
Because I don't know if it's official yet, but the Atlanta Falcons have announced 3 new hires and 3 returning assistant coaches on Monday. The newcomers are Craig Ackerman, wide receivers coach Robert Prince, who was once with the Lions, and Bob Quinn, former Detroit Lions general manager, who will serve as a senior advisor to the new head coach, Kevin Stefanski.
You know, that's a great title for water boy. God. Bob Quinn.
Senior assistant.
Yeah, I want to see Bob Quinn out there delivering Gatorade.
Senior advisor to Kevin Stefanski. So what's he going to advise the head coach on?
I don't know. Honestly. He's the freaking water boy. J Rod's asked the question, is Kafka going to be Dan's assistant head coach? Were you in earlier this morning, J Rod? But yes. Yes and no. So let me give you the quick and dirty. The call that I took last night, I went live last night to discuss all of this, and then I touched on it briefly this morning, that the word from my guy is that Montgomery is closer to taking a position with the Ravens than he's not. And if he takes that position, then that is where Kafka is going to be reinserted as the assistant head coach for Dan Campbell. At least that's the rumor and the theory and the word. I can't say it's going to happen, right? I don't know if it's going to happen. It's just a rumor. But it comes from a guy that knows a few things. And he's never steered me wrong, even though we've gotten a couple of things wrong. We've gotten a lot more right. I want him to be wrong in this case. I want to see Scotty Montgomery stick around, but at the same time, Scotty's put his time in, man. 25 years of coaching and playing. He deserves absolutely anything and everything that he can get. So is, in your opinion, is Kafka more of an insurance policy for Petzing or more of an insurance policy for Scotty Montgomery? Both. I honestly, and I think I touched on that a little bit in that video that ended up releasing this morning. Is that, if something were to happen with Petsing, we talked about it today. If something were to happen with Petsing, if things weren't working out, I don't even think that you would know. I think that you would just have Kafka immediately, calling plays if that was going to be the goal, or if that, transpired. The difference would be if you're paying attention to the sideline and all of a sudden he doesn't have a sheet in front of his face anymore, Petsing. Or maybe he still does. Maybe you have two coaches on the sideline with play sheets in their hands. How about that? You don't know who's calling plays. There could be, I don't know. I think that Dan and Brad are making some incredibly smart moves. You have two legit offensive coordinators. You have two legit head coaching candidates. And you know what they didn't do, which the 49ers were doing for a long time, and honestly, I haven't looked at, here, I'll just look right now, is they're not playing the comp game. You know what I mean by that?
No.
So the comp game for head coaches and GMs, they're not playing that game that the 49ers were playing for quite a while. At least that was the theory, because, for the last 3-4 drafts, it seems like the 49ers don't have any draft picks. And then all of a sudden they get like 6 comp picks, 7 comp picks. Yeah. And that's because they've had guys graduate into, bigger and better roles. Man, if you take a look at Clay Kubiak and Kyle Shanahan, they look identical. It is weird that they look like they could be at least brothers. But yeah, so the 49ers had, a lot of coaches that were fitting the Rooney Rule that were graduating to become head coaches and general managers and that. And so they were getting all those comp picks for them. And it was happening seemed like every year. Like right now you have.
My question is, they got comp picks for Saleh the first time he left to become a head coach. Do they get that again? Because that'd be the second time that he's been their defensive coordinator and moved on to become a head coach. That'd be 2 times that they get comp picks for Saleh.
That is interesting. I don't know. I would say yes.
I would say yes. They should get them, but
if you look at their coaching tree, now I don't mean this in any other way than they're still playing the comp game. I think if you look at their coaching tree and compare it to the rest of the league, I hate the Rooney Rule from the perspective that I feel like it's misplaced. Everybody should have an opportunity, no matter what. No matter what. If you can coach, you should have an interview no matter what.
Yeah. You
shouldn't be forced to have to go take an interview or forced to have to give somebody an interview. These guys should automatically be getting interviewed. They're great coaches.
All for the longest time in the NFL, it was a good old boys club.
Yeah,
if you didn't
that's
know
a problem.
Somebody, you weren't getting the job. And unfortunately, that's the way it is in business all across America. And it sucks. It's political and it just sucks.
So they have some guys that we're going to hear about in the coming years. They have Jake Lynch, defensive quality control. John Holland, linebackers coach. He's been around for a long time. Andrew Hayes Stoker, offensive assistant, wide receivers. That dude's going to be on the come up. Leonard Hankerson, wide receivers, passing game specialist. That dude's a good coach. Ray Brown, defensive backs and cornerbacks. Cameron Brown, defensive quality control. Who else here? Ronald Blair III, special teams quality control. Young dude. He's got a long way to go, but they've got some good coaches, man. They really do. They really, really do. All right, what else is on the list today? Anything?
All right. Well, I have something that most people might not be thinking about. And just this morning, they released the Super Bowl odds. Not for this Super Bowl, for the next Super Bowl. So the top 18 teams, they release the odds for next year's Super Bowl for the 26-27 season. And topping the list, number one with the best odds to go back and win the Super Bowl, the Seattle Seahawks at plus 950. But also the LA Rams at 950. So the Rams and the Seahawks have the best odds right now to go and win next year's Super Bowl. The best AFC team is the next team down, and that is the Buffalo Bills at plus 1,000. And then behind them, you have the Patriots at plus 1,200. And then you get into some more NFC teams. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions are tied at plus 1,300. Right behind them at plus 1,400 is the Green Bay Packers. So what does that tell you? That tells you that Vegas right now believes that the Lions are going to win the NFC North and that the Green Bay Packers will finish in second place in the North. And then you skip down to all the way down to plus 2,200 and you have the Bears, who would be in third place. And then the Vikings are not even on this list because this is only the top 18 teams. And that team in the 18th place is the Buccaneers at plus 4,000. So this is pretty interesting that Vegas is basically already telling us that they think it's going to be Lions, Packers, Bears, and Vikings bringing up the rear way in the rear next year. So do you think that's the way that it could fall next year for the NFC North?
You and this rear talk. Yeah, look. So Lions are fifth best?
Yep.
Fifth best option or fifth best odds?
Tied for fifth. Yep.
Yeah, man. I know that you've put a lot of stock into this fourth place schedule, and the Lions are going to go on a tear and get into the Super Bowl. And I would say that all sounds great. I mean, you look at what Seattle Seahawks did. Matter of fact, where were the Rams ranked last year? What were the final standings?
Like power rankings?
No. The final standings. Where I can't remember the Rams finished last year.
Second place.
Were they second place?
Yeah. So it was Seahawks in first, Rams were second.
In 2024, not 25.
Oh, 25. The year
24.
before that. What's that?
24.
24, they were first place.
Yeah, they were 10-7. The Seahawks were 10-7. So the Seahawks were second place. And the Patriots were last place, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a legit 4-13 team going from worst to first. It can happen. It usually does happen, but it doesn't usually go all the way to the Super Bowl.
I wonder if this will be the first worst to first Super Bowl winner, or Super Bowl team.
I don't know that it is. There was some stats that came out about it just over the weekend. I don't remember what it was. Yeah. But the Lions, I mean, we're what? 90%, 85% roster is pretty much locked. With the guy,
the Patriots, they had 4 wins last year and 4 wins the year before. They've had 8 wins over the last 2 years, and they went from worst to first, and now they're in the Super Bowl. If they can do that with a 4-win team, then the Detroit Lions can damn well do it with a 9-win team, in my opinion.
Well, I think what you're talking about though is, okay, so if you're a 4-win team, look at where the Patriots have been drafting. Okay, so in 2024, let's go back to 23. So in 23, they drafted let's see, pick number 17. They brought in Christian Gonzalez. At pick 46, they bring in Keon White. At pick 76, they bring in Mapu, the safety. At 107, they bring in the center, Jake Andrews. Is he their center today? I don't know that he is.
I don't know.
This is a good. We'll finish with this. Patriots. roster. Can't say that I've paid a ton of attention to their roster. No, Garrett Bradbury's there. Well, so hold on. Timeout. Garrett Bradbury's their center. I'm sorry. I've got to say it, Eric.
Yeah.
You're telling me that the Patriots spent a 4th round pick on Jake Andrews in 23, and he's not even on the team. Well, that means that their GM must be terrible.
Must be.
They don't know what they're doing.
Nope.
They brought in a project, and in 2 years, he's not on the roster. Huh. So you're telling me that Brad Holmes is not the only GM that's done that? Okay. Sorry. 23, they brought in Chad Ryland, kicker. Chad Ryland, 4th round pick. Take a wild guess.
He's not kicking for him anymore.
He's not on the team. 2023 City Sal, guard, 4th round pick. Huh. Let's take a look. Guard. Jared Wilson, Mike Owenu. No City Sal. Huh. So in 23, Jake Andrews, Chad Ryland, City Sal, 3 4th round picks. Not on the team. 3 4th round picks, Eric. All those guys were supposed to start, be game changers.
Yeah.
Not on the team. Somehow they made it to the Super Bowl, though.
Somehow they did it.
Huh. All right, well, anyway. In 2024, they brought in Drake May, Jalen Polk, Caden Wallace in the 3rd round, who's a tackle. And he's not on the roster. Javon Baker, they brought him in, wide receiver in the 4th round. Take a guess.
Not on the team.
He's not on the team. Oh my God. I'm going to have to do a video on this. I'm sorry. Now I just got onto something because this is going to be great. This is going to be great. Oh, I love it. I love where this is going. Anyway, when you look at like guys like Joshua Farmer, defensive tackle, if you remember last year, Eric, I don't, you probably don't because it's hard to remember yesterday, but Joshua Farmer was one of the guys on my TAPS list that he was extremely high, and the Lions did bring him in. He was a top 30 visit, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. He was coming out of Florida State. He was one of the guys that I wanted to see the Lions take a stab at. They didn't take him, but he's been playing pretty well. They brought in Braden Swinson, outside linebacker. Where's Brady Swinson at? I don't see him on the roster. Oh, there he is. Third. He's back in the 3rd spot on the depth chart. Who else did they bring in? In 25, they also brought in Will Campbell, who came in as a tackle, as a left tackle. Where's he playing right now?
He played this weekend.
Did he?
Yeah.
He's at left tackle. Travion Henderson, running back. Kyle Williams, wide receiver. He's the second back up to Stephon Diggs, but he was taken in the 3rd round, so he's not an immediate starter. Jared Wilson, another center that they drafted this year. He's their starting center. Craig Woodson, a safety they brought in this year in the 4th round. And Woodson... I don't even see him on the roster. Oh, there he is. Free safety, Craig Woodson. So they've done a good job drafting with Vrabel. Well, the guys that they brought in this year, they're playing. But they've also done a good job with all of these, or fairly decent job with all these draft picks that they've somehow managed to get. I mean, who has all of these 4th round draft picks? They had 2 in 24. They had 3 in 23. They had 4 6th round picks in 23. I mean, that's a massive amount of draft picks. So yeah, some of these guys are not going to make the team. So it kind of goes into what I was, started with this morning and talking about. I don't know why we're talking about Trinity Benson, but sometimes, actually all the time, not all your draft picks are going to make the squad. And some of them wash out pretty quickly. And that's what you've seen in New England. When Vrabel took this roster over, he probably just got rid of a lot of people that didn't make the squad. They brought in some free agents, and they made it work. I guess where I was going with all this is when you look at what the Patriots have been able to do this year, going from worst to first, they were able to leverage a lot of draft picks for the last couple of seasons being bottom feeders. And if you look at what the Lions did and why we got so good so quick, we were also bottom feeders. We come in to 2021. Where did we pick? What was our original pick in 21? Do you remember?
For
21.
the first round?
Yeah. Like our original pick was what? I'm gonna find it. Hold on.
I don't know.
We were slotted at number 7. That's right. So Penei Sewell. So the Lions come in, they're slotted at 7. They're not picking at 4, or 5 or 6 or whatever, like the Patriots did in a couple of drafts. But we're slotted as a 7th pick. And you're able to get guys like Penei Sewell. Levi Onwuzurike didn't work out. Lee McNeil has worked out. Efetu Melifonwu, he's okay. But we were able to get really good really quickly because we had some early draft picks. As you start to win, right, and you get later into the draft process, later into the rounds, it's not as easy to win. That's where you have to be more creative. That's where you have to do more trades. That's where you have to trade up, trade back, and you have to create velocity within your draft room with your draft picks, excuse me. And I think Brad's done a great job, but obviously the New England Patriots right now are taking full advantage of having all of these young draft picks, higher draft picks on the roster. The Lions are now going to be back in the middle of the pack. They're going to be able to bring in some impact players here in 2026. And it could be enough to push us over the edge. It should be enough. I guess I said all that just to say that it's not overwhelming to think that they wouldn't be here because of the way that they were able to draft by finishing at the bottom. If you go and look at other teams around the league like the Browns, constantly finishing in the bottom, why are they not able to, they pick in early, why are they not able to go the distance? Why are they not able to go somewhere and change the dynamic of that team? I don't understand it for the life of me. I just don't get it. They've had all these opportunities. They've done nothing with it.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lions did. Anyway, let's get out of here.
Hey, I found a quick little tidbit. So Shedeur Sanders is the first 5th round rookie to make a Pro Bowl since Puka Nacua did it. And he is the first 5th round quarterback to ever make a Pro Bowl. And the reason that he made the Pro Bowl, okay, get this. So originally it was supposed to be Drake May and Josh Allen. Well, Drake May is playing in the Super Bowl. Josh Allen is hurt. Justin Herbert is hurt. Patrick Mahomes is hurt. So then you had Trevor Lawrence, who was also an alternate. And the only explanation to how Shedeur Sanders got in is that Trevor Lawrence turned it down.
Yeah, Brian Brady, I have Spectrum as well. And matter of fact, Spectrum is probably the worst internet company in the world.
Oh God, I'll never have them again.
They've been to my house 60 times in the last 4 years, at least. It got so bad that I had the FCC involved, and I've got 1,000 feet of new cable now running from another box, and I've got a new box on the other side of the house. And once we had this done, and all new lines buried underneath the driveways and that, it's been better. But Now we live out in the boonies, man, and so if you don't know how internet works, I'll give you a quick lesson. Every 10 degrees that the weather changes up or down will change your signal strength. So when it gets really hot, you're going to have instability. When it's negative 20 like it is right now, you're going to have some instability. And the fact that I'm running 4K at 16,000 kilobytes per second, I think I'm good. I'm doing pretty good. So, Shedeur Sanders, man, good luck at the Pro Bowl.
I'm actually going to tune in since it's going to be Goff versus Sanders. Let's go.
I might watch it. I might watch it this time too. All right, tomorrow I'll be back. We'll see what's up next. I've got some videos I got to fire up, man. You guys have a wonderful day. Sorry about the stream. Can't do anything about the weather, but it is what it is. See you tomorrow. Have a good day. Go and probably go Detroit Lions.